Animation has been my passion my whole life, ever since I could remember. I was animating before I could talk.
Voice inside of your heart and your head, you know it.
Hi everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. I hope you're having an awesome day. Today we have an interview with Netflix star Dani Bowman, which was made possible by Unlimited Stages. So thank you, Unlimited Stages. Unlimited Stages is a 501c3 nonprofit organization and theater production company based in New York City that is committed to using the power of storytelling to bridge gaps, break barriers, and unite communities. Unlimited Stages is all about giving talented artists of all backgrounds who are up and coming and of all abilities a chance to shine. So you can learn more about Unlimited Stages by checking out our interview with Eric Berkeley, who's the founder of Unlimited Stages, here on our YouTube channel. So yes, enjoy this video. Check out unlimitedstages.com and subscribe to our channel for more.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gina Sims, and I run the Autism Theater Project. Today, I'm very excited to speak with Dani Bowman, who has made some incredible things happen in the space of both animation and autism advocacy. She is a gifted animator herself. And I would like to ask you, Dani, how did you start your company, Danimation?
Well, how do I start Danimation? So at 11 years old, I used to create these little picture books by doing little drawings on paper. Then I used to staple them together. When I asked my aunt to help me publish my books, she told me that they were really good books, but it could not be published because it was just drawing all staples together. After seeing the disappointment, she said she would help me and that she would always help me figure things out. Later on, when my aunt and uncle saw my little animations on MS Paint, Adobe Photoshop, and PowerPoint presentations, they were impressed by my animation talent. So I asked them, how can I start my animation company? They told me to have a company name with a mission statement. And I asked that question because I discovered that the creator of Pokemon, Satoshi Tariji, was neurodiverse and started his company Game Freak when he was 17 years old. So I was inspired to beat his record by starting my company as young as possible. I started Danimation not only to beat Satoshi Tariji's record, but also I really wanted to do more than just doing picture books. I wanted to do more animation. I've noticed that the autism employment rates indicate that it's harder for people on the autism spectrum to get proper employment. So that's why I started Danimation in 2009.
That is awesome. Yes, I'm also very passionate about employment for those with autism because I feel like it's very unfortunate that so many people end up being overlooked because of preconceptions and misconceptions about the preconceived limitations of their condition. But there's
that is true.
Mm-hmm, for sure. So it's very cool that your company is addressing that.
So the next question is, when was I diagnosed? And when did I become aware that I have autism?
Yes.
So my mom diagnosed me when I was around 4 or 5 years old because she noticed I wasn't really speaking or having full-on conversations when I was like 3 or 4. I only used a little language called tiki 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 tiki. And I only used nothing but echolalia when I was until around 5 or 6. I didn't speak until around 5 or 6 years old. However, at that time, I did not know what autism was at this point until I moved in with my aunt and uncle at about 11 years old. I first found out that I have autism when I heard my aunt and my mom talking about it. My reaction was confusion because I thought maybe it was a disease I had. Maybe I need to go to the doctor so I can get cured, which I hate going to the doctor to get a shot. However, my aunt explained to me and reassured me that it's not a disease. It's just a part of who I am, like having brown hair and hazel eyes. It's what gave me the superpowers to focus on things that I love to do, like animation and research. I love researching many things, including biology, geology, and so forth. So it took me a long time to get used to having a diagnosis like this. Eventually I get to learn that autism can be used as an ability. but still I have to overcome these little obstacles, such as being able to focus and concentrate without daydreaming, all this.
I'm a daydreamer as well, so I can relate for sure. And you've certainly been very, very productive. How did you start doing animation? What made you interested in it in the first place?
Animation has been my passion my whole life, ever since I could remember. I was animating before I could talk. Like I said, I didn't speak until I was 6. But I was animating before that with my plush toys and a camera. I would pose my toys, take a picture, move them, take another picture, and repeat the same process over and over again. When I would finish the picture roll, I would ask my parents to develop the film. When I would get the pictures back, I would flip the film like a flip book. So I created stop motion before I ever realized. I was drawing as soon as I could pick up a pencil. I would draw everywhere on the walls, on paper, everywhere I could. And I still draw every chance I get.
That's awesome. It was clearly something you were born to do.
Thank you.
Drawing art. That's so awesome. Great. Well, you clearly were a very productive, focused, and self-assured teenager, it sounds like. I know going through the teenage years can be difficult, but you had the focus and the self-confidence to really make something happen for yourself and create this amazing organization that is Danimation. What advice do you have for teenagers?
On the autism, you mean for those who are neurodiverse or teenagers in general?
I'd like both. Let's start with those who are neurodiverse.
For those of you who are neurodiverse, don't be afraid to stand out from the others. Like for me, I'm not afraid to stand out from the others. I was able to do amazing animations. If you are striving to do something different from the others, for example, starting an animation company or doing animation or doing anything that is based upon your passion, don't be afraid to be out there. And for the advice for neurotypical teens, so never give up. And whenever you encounter a neurodiverse person, there's many ways to be empathetic with them. Be reassured that people on that we on the autism spectrum have we think differently, like a different computer, like a PC or a Mac. You just have to, so for neurotypical teens, you just have to learn to accept us for who we are, and it's okay that sometimes we have a hard time with communication, because that's the biggest challenge that we neurodiverse people have a challenge with. And for those who are neurotypical, be patient with us, because we may have challenges with communication. So just ask many questions, but not too many questions, though. That's why you have to be respectful.
I would add to that there's so much to learn from every individual, and especially from the differences that we have from other people. So I would say don't let other people's differences, especially in terms of their background or their condition, their circumstances, lead you to not give yourself the chance to really learn from getting to know that person. So there's so much to get to know. Everybody has something to offer. Everybody has their own inner genius, some wisdom to give to you. So
not just only for teens, it's also for all ages, as I'm trying to put it out there.
What advice do you have for parents of children who are neurodiverse, have special needs, or autism?
So for my advice for the parents is that your child on the autism spectrum may have challenges. So all you have to do is in order to help your child succeed, help them get the special accommodations they need. All they need is some special accommodations, but at the same time, we all need what it's called the loving push. The Loving Push is one of the books that Temple Grandin illustrated and published, because this is a special book for parents to help their kids on the autism spectrum be able to strive. And whenever you see a passion that a child is interested in, help them turn their passion into a skill that could lead to a sustainable, independent career.
I love the concept of the loving push.
Thank you.
I'm going to remind myself of that. My sister's on the spectrum, and I work with her quite a bit. So I'm thinking of that, the loving push. And I'll look up that book by Temple Grandin as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's why it's so important for the adults, not just the parents, but the adults in the lives of children with autism to be curious about their passions and their own individual inner genius, regardless of what symptoms they may have or what challenges they may face. There is an interest. There's something that they're passionate about that they can do that's going to bring them a lot of joy, and that could bring a lot of joy to the world and become a sustainable career the way Dani has done with Danimation, for sure.
But then again, people on the autism spectrum have to learn that they can be independent. All they have to do is get out of their comfort zone, because nobody is going to be doing everything for them. People on the autism spectrum cannot depend on their parents to help them make them into a career. They just have to learn how to get off the training wheel of a bike.
That, I think, is also a very powerful message, because I think the narrative often is that it's early intervention and the early work with children that's going to lead them to have successful lives. But I have known and spoken with people on the team of ATP, the Autism Theater Project, who were really struggling in high school and struggled all throughout their teenage years. But they had that loving, the ability to give themselves their own loving push, and find the fields, the career that's going to suit them and pursue their passions, form relationships, et cetera, et cetera.
That is true. People on the autism spectrum they can be successful, but all it takes is learning how to learning how to get out of their comfort zone and learning how to challenge themselves.
You have a lot of wisdom, Dani, so it doesn't surprise me that you've had a successful public speaking career on top of doing Danimation and your own animation. When did you start doing public speaking?
Okay, as far as I could remember about public speaking, so at that time when Joey Travolta from Inclusion Films invited me to the premiere screening of one of their independent made films from Joey Travolta's Inclusion Films workshop, I was like around 15 years old when I saw the screening. And then I stood up, and then after the screening, I did some public speaking. This sparked Sandy and Patrick's idea of having me do some public speaking tours at many different autism events. So I went to many different types of autism events that where I go public speaking. I spoke at my school. I've spoken at La Cañada High School, which was the high school that I used to go to. 2014 was a big year, but 2014 was especially the biggest year where I did where I did a tour of public speaking, and especially OCaliCon. OCaliCon specifically is one of the biggest autism conferences in Columbus, Ohio, and definitely what stood out from all the public speaking engagements. And I was a keynote. Because I was a keynote speaker for over 2,000 people.
Wow. So would you say that just within a year, you went from doing your first speaking engagement, which was pretty big, at Joey Travolta, John Travolta's brothers program, Inclusion Films, to speaking in front of 2,000 people?
Yeah, it was so amazing. And Sandy and Patrick noticed that I wasn't afraid of anything, which not to brag or anything, but it is true. They both called me a ham, which I didn't mind.
No, that's good. In addition to public speaking, you've also been on a reality show, and I think you have a talent for acting.
Thank you so much. And with Love on the Spectrum, when I first saw Love on the Spectrum, it was really incredible. I was amazed on how people on the spectrum were able to be themselves. And as far as I could see, they were treated respectfully.
How did you get involved with Love on the Spectrum?
Well, in 2019, I was approached by Kean O'Cleary via email and asked if I knew of anyone that would be interested in participating in the US version of Love on the Spectrum. I did recommend a couple of companies, but they also asked me I would be interested. I said, what? Having someone else set up a pre-screened date for me, and all I have is to show up and be myself? Of course, I was interested. I was more than interested. It's hard to find love out there for anyone, I imagine, but as for someone as busy I am, it's practically impossible to find dates. That is the reason why I joined Love on the Spectrum, not only just to find dates, but also to bring my company's name out there.
What lessons have you learned from being on Love on the Spectrum?
So the lessons that I have learned from being on Love in the Spectrum is that I've learned a couple of great important lessons. Like, number one, I have to remember to set my boundaries from the very beginning when going on dates. And I have to get to know someone before I express love or give them a kiss, because you just have to be patient to get to know the person first before you make a commitment. That's what I've learned from my dating experience.
But we did talk about how there is an issue, an employment issue when it comes to job opportunities for autistic adults, or that there was that one that you recognized when you were a teenager. Between the time you became a teenager to now, do you still feel like there aren't enough job opportunities for autistic adults?
It's getting better. And well, it's getting better for the animation industry are seeing that people on the autism spectrum can do amazing things. So I've noticed that the animation industry is a very tricky job to get in, because whenever you're finished with a project, it's over. And then you have to find another job, another animation production to find. But for people on the autism spectrum, we want to be fixated on and still be working on an animated series that would last a long time. And the hardest part is there's a pay gap for a lot of writers, it's not just for people on the autism spectrum, it's in general, because the animation industry is currently right now facing what it's called the writers and the actor strike and the animation strikes, because they're not too bad that the CEOs don't only get so much money. But I think no matter on the autism spectrum or not, we still need to get a fair pay.
You talked about how in animation, the CEOs are beginning to recognize the talent and skills of those on the autism spectrum. And we've talked before about how there are animated series coming up. They're animated. What do you think of the portrayals of autistic characters in the animated series and also in live action TV shows and movies?
Well, in the beginning, what I've noticed is that a lot of the autistic characters were portrayed by neurotypical actors. But however, there has been opportunity, but I've seen a progression when it comes to like animation and live action productions are being made to include people on the autism spectrum. When I first saw Atypical, it was really hard to find a good voice act. I mean, it was really hard to find an actor who is on the autism spectrum to play as the main character, Sam Gardner. But at least they include real, authentic people on the autism spectrum as guest voice actors or side or supporting characters who are autistic. The shows that I saw, everything's going to be okay. And as we see it, they include characters like, for example, Matilda is played by an actress with autism. And the three actors who are autistic are featured in As We See It. They're the main characters, played by autistic characters, played by autistic actors. That's reason why representation is incredibly important. I've also seen shows like She-Ra, the Princess of Power, where they have Entrapta, played by an autistic actress, because the character in She-Ra, the Princess of Power is autistic. There's also Norma from Dead End Paranormal Park, created by Hamish Steele, who's on the autism spectrum. In the new and also recently in the new Proud Family Louder and Prouder series on Disney Plus, one of the characters, Bibi, is played by an autistic child actor. And I saw one clip that is pretty much in your face they talked about autism in the episode. Incredibly amazing. That's why representation is incredibly important.
Mm-hmm. For sure. There's definitely improvement. And I look forward to talking with you more about possible projects that we could do together. The Autism Theater Project does have.
I'm looking forward to that as well, Gina.
I definitely believe that it is worth it to take the time to find an autistic actor. And I think that from my own experience casting an autistic actor as a lead in the series ATP is producing, The Voice Inside, I find that I think the struggles that producers are having are mainly because there are just fewer people on the autism spectrum than there are neurotypical people. But when you find those autistic actors, to play the characters, the authenticity comes through, and it's just 100% worth it to take.
That's right. There are some do's and don'ts on how to include autism and authenticity. Like, for example, Sia wanted to include a nonverbal actor, but especially for nonverbals, which is like even harder. It didn't work for her. Even though she's an autism advocate, it didn't really work for her. Even though I do really like Sia, people are bad-mouthing about Sia so much because of trying to find an actor, because she had a hard time finding a nonverbal actor. Well, it's not an excuse.
May I ask you an unexpected question?
Sure.
About that? Okay. Do you feel that it's all right for a verbal autistic actor to play a nonverbal character?
Well, as long as they're autistic, they could. But however, if it was a real nonverbal character to play a nonverbal, if it was a real nonverbal actor playing a real nonverbal character, it's a 100%. It's definitely the 100%, which is totally acceptable. It's generally acceptable to include an autistic actor to play a nonverbal character. It's generally acceptable, but it's more authentic to include an actual nonverbal actor to play an actual nonverbal character.
In the ATP series, The Voice Inside, we are working on creating more and more characters. Now that we finished filming our first 3 episodes, we really want to include a nonverbal character. We have autistic actors who could play the role who are verbal, but I am interested in including or at least featuring an actual nonverbal character, especially one who types, which I find fascinating.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the movie that I saw featuring Ben Affleck included a nonverbal actor who types, which is like very authentic and amazing. I forgot the name of the movie, but it featured Ben Affleck, who was one of the spies. I forgot the name, but they did include a nonverbal actor that types and helps the main character throughout the mission.
Very cool. Was that called The Accountant?
The Accountant, yes.
Okay, great. Well, Dani, is there anything else you would like people to know about you and Danimation?
If you would like to learn more information about Danimation, we are providing free introduction animation classes at our website. You go to daniacademy.com/free. That is, this will take you to a website to help your autistic child to sign up for our Danimation classes. And we provide, it's free every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Cool. Well, it's so cool that you guys are able to provide that for free. And I'm very excited about the work you're doing, about the work that you will do in the future. I think you're going to create.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who, you can look up more information on DanimationEntertainment.com, or you can search me on social media. I have a Facebook, an Instagram, a Twitter, well, now called X by Elon Musk. And I have a link. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you could just Google me.
So great speaking with you, Dani.
So great speaking with you too.
Yes, everyone, please subscribe. We have more stories coming from other people who are doing some really wonderful things in the community of all abilities. And yes, we also have our series in progress, The Voice Inside. Our trailer will be coming out as well, so stay tuned for that. Make sure that you follow Dani.
Alrighty, thank you, Gina. Thank you, Gina.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I bet you did. Dani is really, really awesome. It's really inspiring to see how much she has done professionally since she was 12 years old and the obstacles she's overcome throughout her journey. So you can follow Dani Bowman on social media to learn more about her. And thanks again to our sponsor, Unlimited Stages. You can check out unlimitedstages.com to learn more about what they're up to. And also don't forget to check out my interview with Eric Berkeley, the founder of Unlimited Stages, on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out www.autismtheaterproject.org for updates. And check out our trailer for our series, The Voice Inside. It's awesome. It's going to break barriers. It's going to connect to audiences all around the world. And we're excited to take you along for the ride. Yay! Have a great day, my friends.
A voice inside of your heart and your head, you know it.